All right, welcome back, everybody, here. Tuesday morning show off and rolling. Don't forget, Thursday night, we got a game for you here on WDAY Extra because football is all week long with conferences going on in North Dakota and Minnesota. We'll have for you Davies and Horace, 7 o'clock on Extra. Last I checked, those two teams are tied for the top spot in the EDC, and they'll meet on Thursday. Our guy Harvey McMahon joins us, head coach of the Horace Hawks, after they swept through both West Fargo and Cheyenne. Their debut year in 3A football is going pretty swimmingly. Their only loss actually was to a 2A school who could beat a handful of teams. That's the Kindred Vikings. He joins us this morning. We were just joking off air here. Your team won. Valley City State beat Mayville. Is this like the ultimate weekend for you?
Oh yeah, this is great. Anytime it's kind of the three levels, and the Hawks win at the high school level, and the Vikings took care of business against a good Mayville team. I mean, Mayville's definitely showing that they're not the same old Mayville. So, Coach Horner pitched a wonderful, wonderful game against Mayville State. That defense was rolling, and now I just need JJ McCarthy to get healthy on the Vikes, and then we should be good to go on all three levels.
You might be asking for a little much there. KOC played it pretty close to the vest yesterday. On that. All right, before we talk Davies, tell me the last 2 weeks. We talked about it when you came in studio before the season got going, the anticipation for the first varsity games against both West Fargo and Cheyenne. Obviously, you won both games. You got to be thrilled to death about that. How did the boys approach it knowing they've been talking about this for 4 years about playing these guys?
I think obviously those games have been circled on our schedule for a while. I think the whole community was ready to rally around those games on either side, whether it's Cheyenne, West Fargo, or Horace. And so a lot of it was, those non-conference games were huge for us and able to kind of find who we were and where we were. And so by the time we got to those West Fargo and Cheyenne games, we were feeling pretty comfortable. We were feeling confident. And again, like going into this year is one of those pretty wide spectrum where we could have ended up. And I think, ultimately we just have kind of focused on our locker room and that's carried us through.
That Kindred game, Harvey, to think back of how close you were to winning or tying that game, how much is that, I don't know, inspired, but just say we're awfully darn close to being unbeaten right now?
I mean, that program, Burgad and Safe and all those guys do a tremendous job down there, and we have a ton of respect for them. But that's what I was kind of alluding to with the non-conference.
Yeah.
At the time you don't think it is, but looking back at it, that was probably the best thing that's happened to us all year was that loss to the Kindred game. When we kind of reflect as a staff just on those non-conference, we weren't super thrilled actually with how we were playing the first 10 quarters of the season. I know we won one against Red River, but we just weren't super thrilled again. We thought we left a lot out there. It was a little concerning. When we played Kindred, we just didn't felt like we were playing our brand of Horace Hawk football. And then even the first 2 quarters of Mandan, we were down 0-14 against Mandan, and it just those first 10 quarters were pretty imperative. All off season we were worried a little bit about a championship hangover, and that's what it kind of felt like. Kids weren't having fun. It was tense. We weren't playing loose, and then something happened, and I would tell you the turning point would have been halftime of that Mandan game.
Yeah.
Just nobody was yelling. It was one of those just, when are we going to choose to have fun and play our brand of football? And it was a good response. That second half of Mandan, we hung 35 points up and we kind of found ourselves, and we haven't really looked back since.
Do you feel like relax a little bit after that? The guys were playing tense maybe in the first 2.5 games?
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't feel, our seniors could feel it. Coaching staff could feel it, and I think maybe some of it was some of the young players kind of realizing, okay, I got to fill shoes on a high expectation team. But yeah, those first 10 quarters, we just didn't feel like ourselves, and that's the value of having those non-conference games. And so, like I said, once that second half of Mandan, we kind of found our stride again, and we were excited to carry that over through the games going into 3A, and The biggest thing was, win or lose, high school sports is supposed to be fun. And so I think once the kids kind of just bought into that, like, hey, we just need to have fun. Then we'll play the best version of ourselves, and that's what we did.
To have the win, we showed the game when you guys beat Legacy the way you did too. To go out there, win the way you guys did, what did that do, momentum, and just for your own team's just personality of, hey, we just won a game that maybe we shouldn't have won?
Exactly right. And that's the blessing of high school sports. And we've been fortunate enough to have some of that testimony. I told the kids, like, ultimately you gotta focus on yourself, because the Horace Hawks were somewhere between losing to Kindred and beating the number 1 seed in the state, Bismarck Legacy, right? And so it just goes to show you can lose to anybody or you can beat anybody. And that Bismarck Legacy team is a tremendous team. Might be the best team we have faced to date. They are tough as nails. And Coach Clemens does a wonderful job over there. And I think that game really, again, you talk about rolling over from that second half of Mandan. What I'll tell you this about 3As, it's really had to bring out the best of our kids and our staff. And that's what Legacy did.
Well, so when you were here right before the season began, we were chatting about your schedule, knowing full well what was at the end of it. So now here you are. Describe what practice was like yesterday. Like, everything's in front of us. You win your final 2 games, you're the number 1 seed.
Yeah, and I think, I was talking to my dad a little bit about it. I was talking to some other coaches that I know in the area, and I think there is a lot of people who didn't think we'd be having this conversation on October 14th. And so it's a blessing to have that conversation. But our kids aren't going to play tight. We tried that for 10 quarters. And so we don't want to do that anymore. And so our kids are playing loose. They're having fun. And we're going to do that. We're going to let the chips fall where they may. If you go 2-0, you get the 1 seed. I mean, we know that's huge. Then playoffs run through Fargo. And if you don't, then we just got to take it as they come. But the cool thing is, like I told the kids yesterday, every game from here on out is a playoff game. You're not going to play a team that's not a playoff team. So we just got to bring our best stuff, and hopefully it turns out.
The challenge of facing a Davies team, you know exactly what they want to do, what they're going to do. What is it? Just a matter, hey, we got to stop it? Is that the biggest challenge on Thursday?
Well, I think when you play a team, and Coach Wermeyer does a great job. I love Coach Wermeyer. He just exactly right. This is what we're going to do, and stop it. And so if you can't, just do it again. And that's a great method. I love that. And so that's a huge challenge for us, especially on the defensive side. We have to be disciplined. This is our next 2 weeks, because Coach Mattern is the opposite way. Yeah. They do the same thing, but they're going to go 5 wide, instead of 5 in. So our Coach Boyer and Coach Compton, our DCs, are going to probably lose all their hair in the next 2 weeks, but that's okay. I'll buy them hats.
How much fun are you, the guys, having? Like, this is what we wanted. We won the state championship last year. Now we've moved up, and here we are. We got a chance to maybe do it again at the 3A level.
Yeah, and that's all icing for us. I mean, that's obviously the goal every year, is to, maximize each team that you get. This team does have championship, aspirations, and the big thing we put a premium on is just extending our lifeline together. Like I told the kids before the championship last year, winning a championship is great, but understanding too that this was the last time we were ever going to play together, that carries more weight than winning a championship. And so, like, with this senior class, I remember them coming in as 7th graders, and for us, like, yes, we want to win a state championship, but more importantly, we're focused on extending our lifeline together, because I don't want to be done being their coach, and they don't want to be done, wearing the wings on their helmet. All
right, so the last 2 weeks you played for trophies here. We got several submissions. Do you actually have names for the because if not, our viewers are ready to suggest a couple.
I would be willing to listen to all of them. I'm not. My boss is going to yell at me. I'm not saying they're bad, but I didn't have anything to say as far as what they look like or they say. I found out the day before West Fargo High that we were playing for a trophy, and my response was, I don't know if we needed any more additional pressure on this one, but it worked out. So, but yeah, the Packer Horace one is called the Green and Gold Trophy, and then the Cheyenne one is the Talon and Hoof officially.
Oh, okay. I don't mind that. I had one to throw at you here for the Cheyenne Street Turkey Nest Trophy. It's the battle for the turkey nest. The main street that runs to Horace from West Fargo. Numerous wild turkey flocks that roam Cheyenne Street might need a nest-looking trophy. What do you make of that?
I like it a lot because those turkeys are kind of a staple of Horace. When you drive down to Horace, you have probably a 90% chance of having to stop for this big old like mob of turkeys. And all these new people moving into Horace, I hope they, treat them with respect because those turkeys have been here for a long time.
They've been longer than anybody else there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be okay with that.
Where are the trophies now? Do you know?
I put them in my athletic director's office and let him deal with them. I'm moving past that. I'm not a huge. There's only really one trophy that we're kind of honed in on.
I hear you, man. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it. Good luck on Thursday night. We'll talk soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There he goes, Harvey McMahon, head coach of the Horace Hawks. Biggie coming up on Thursday night with Davies, number 1 seed, EDC champ, at least first on the line on Thursday night for that one, isn't it? Isn't it Thursday? Oh, no, it's Friday. Cheyenne Shanley's on Thursday. I'll get my take together here. Yes, EDC championship potentially at stake with the matchup on Friday between Davies and Horace. We got Cheyenne playing with Shanley. So the top 4 all matching up here over the next couple days. Appreciate his time. We'll look forward to that one coming up on Friday night down on the south side of town. We'll break. We come back. Our guy Mike McFeely waiting in the wings. Chat with Michael about who knows. That'll be fun. That's coming up. We come back.